Hello gamers, today I am returning to a game series I've talked about before on this channel, that being the F1 games. Although since last time I've covered these games, their names have changed a little bit, dropping the 20 in the year at the start of the game, which I assume was mainly pushed by EA to fit their other games like FIFA 8 or FIFA 23 would probably have been the better one to say. Anyways, unlike my other videos, including the last video on the Breaking Point series, I'm not going to really talk too much in depth about the story and all the actions in it. However, I'm going to focus in on the change of one character. That character being the one and only Devon Butler, a man who has been a thorn in my side since 2019, when I first versed him as my custom driver in career mode, to of course his starring role as the heel in Breaking Point. But before I get into that, I'm going to have some quick little mentions about the game. So let's start where I start most of my videos and talk about graphics. In the F1 games, graphics are only getting better and better, to the point where in the last couple years I've seen them shown up on a lot of like those tech review channels, using them to benchmark graphics cards. So if that's anything to go by, the game does indeed look amazing if you have the machine to run it. And this game definitely carries on that trend. In my last video, I did comment on how the physics were not amazing, but that was just the norm for a Cody's game. And in the build up to this game, I did see a lot of talk about that they're really going to work on better physics, which I have to say, for the most part, in my experience from what I've played so far, they did. Most curbs, when I went over them, didn't want to put me into low Earth orbit. And if I lightly accelerate on the curbs, I didn't end up spinning like I was Sebastian Vettel in a Ferrari. I don't know how much of this would affect my ability to control the car and therefore make me think the physics are better than they actually were, but I did play this game on a wheel instead of a controller. I also didn't just play it on any wheel, I used a direct drive wheel, which obviously means you feel the bumps a lot more on track, which also helps a lot when you spin out all the time. And a third point, the wheel I was using is also an official F1 branded wheel rim and base. So it was basically made for this game. In my last video on Breaking Point, I did mention I liked the story, but I think they should take a year off to really iron it out and make it better. And well, they did that. And the story, I feel, is a grave improvement on the last one. I'll get into more of the story as it relates back to Mr. Devon in a bit. But God, I enjoyed myself so much playing this game. And I also think it was smart for the developers to add an 11th team. So no matter what real life driver you support, you can see them go wheel to wheel with Aiden, Devon, and a new character by the name of Callie. The story of Mr. Devon Butler himself starts way back in F1 2019. He didn't have a big role, but he definitely left his impact. And it was still very much the Devon Butler we all love to hate. Your custom driver would race against Devon in the F2 series, where there were a couple crashes between you and him. Also, a couple run-ins with him and your teammate Lucas Weber, and depending on how you go in your F2 career, either you or Devon would end up winning the F2 championship, and then all three of you will get promoted into F1, but after that, that's sort of where the story just goes away and it's your normal driver career mode, trying to stay at your team, get good results and all that, and no more scripted moments like we will come to expect. In Breaking Point 1, which of course I did a video on about a year ago at this time, I think. But let's quickly recap Devon's character in that story. Devon is a good driver, or at least the game sets him up to be one, fighting for a seat at one of the big three, a fight he would have against the game's protagonist, Aiden Jackson. And of course, Devon's character trait of his ego carries over from F1 2019, as he has an ego the size of the state of Montana, and he is very good at stirring people up, which he does throughout the story to pretty good results. At one point making Aiden and his teammate Casper hate each other, starting rumours like the fact that he had already been signed to one of the top 3 teams, and that Casper did not want the team to sign Aiden, that they would prefer them to sign Daniel Ricciardo, and also convincing Casper that Aiden's getting paid a lot more than him, even though Casper is a much more experienced driver. At the start of 2023, there is a new team on the Formula One grid, that team being Connor Sports. And of course, this team needs drivers. So, looking all over the grid, they decide to go with one Aiden Jackson after he unfortunately did not get picked up by a top 3 team. And the second driver, well, of course, is the one and only Devon Butler. Which, let's just say, as soon as I saw that Devon was on my team, I knew that there wasn't gonna go so well. And of course it didn't, as in the second race we control, Devon and Aiden have a crash.
Into turn 2 we go now. Butler comes out of the pit lane. Jackson is right there with him. This is dicey, Ant. Neither one of these two wants to give way.
This would have been a lot cleaner if Jackson had just let him go. He's just not giving him an inch.
They continue onwards, still wheel to wheel, almost touching there as well, as we head down the straight towards the next chicane. Nothing to separate either car, and through the chicane we go. And now Jackson sends them both off the track, and Butler over a curb. That looked nasty.
And I do believe that one of their cars is damaged here, Crofty. I think it's Butler.
Damage, Ant, but also they've lost places too.
Unbelievable and totally unnecessary as well.
Well, one damaged car, places now to make up. What a complete mess that was.
Shocker. And as much as I dislike him, this crash was definitely not Devon's fault. But now you may be wondering to yourself, with our history, who would put Butler and Jackson on the same team? Which team principal would sign off on this? Well, it becomes a lot easier to answer that question when you find out that the team's title sponsor is a company by the name of Butler Global, a large company of some kind, run by a man named Davidoff, who also just so happens, if you couldn't tell by context clues, to be Devon's dad. Anyways, we are off racing in Hungary, and Devon is just straight up not listening to team orders.
At what point in the 22 season was it clear to you that the team was struggling?
Oh, well, right after the Hungarian GP. I may only be the money, but even to me it was obvious. The whole thing was a shambles.
Yet again, Connor Sports, Jackson and Butler battling it out on track. It seems as
Hang
if
on
they...
2 seconds, Nat.
Okay, Devon, Aiden's lapping faster than you. I need you to let him pass, please. Devon, do you copy? Listen to me, I need you to let Aiden pass now.
Butler just completely blanking the order there. Seems like he didn't even acknowledge it.
Too true, but as you can see, no way through for Jackson. No way at all. This Connor Sport rivalry is getting heated on the track here in Hungary.
Which, when it is brung up after the race, in the after-race, pre-race, after-race debrief, that made no sense, sorry, Devon says that it was a comms issue, that the comms were not working. But then, of course, the team check through the buckets of data they get from every race and see that the comms were working just fine. But Davidoff, who was in the debrief for God knows which reason, tells the team to run with the fact that it was indeed a comms error.
Okay, I'll leave that in your capable hands. Devon, you had a problem with a team order today?
Didn't happen.
What?
Look, I know everyone's saying I ignored it, but it didn't happen. I never got the order. Check the comms.
Shoddy workman always blames his tools, eh?
Check the comms.
Okay, we checked the communication pipeline. Fix it. This cannot happen again.
Typical.
And then not much happens to Devon after the next couple chapters. Although we as the player do play as a woman in the Formula 2 Championship named Callie Mayer, which will not become a part of Devon's story at all. The next time Devon Butler becomes a vital part of the story is when we, the player, take control of him for the Bahrain race in the first race of the 2023 season.
Okay, mate.
Which at this point in the notes I said that they would not make me become a fan of him. But then they did also start to show us signs of how Devon's dad, Davidoff, is towards him. Which is sort of what you expect from your rich dad. He's very manipulative and always tries to undermine the son's achievements.
Did Casper being around affect you going into the 23 season?
I have bigger things going on than Casper.
Do you have any regrets about 2023? Anything you'd have done differently?
No, I'm in a good place now. Besides, what's to regret about being the story of the season? Dad!
Devon,
How's business?
same as ever, hiring and firing. How's racing?
Oh, you know, ducking and driving.
You all prepared?
Of course, I've double-checked the strategy changes. I'm just going over my notes now. Everything's covered, just like always. They won't see me for dust.
Spoken like a true butler. Just remember, we've got a lot on the line this season.
Yeah, I know.
Dev, I'm serious. You're carrying this team, don't forget that.
Yeah, well, you keep signing these second-rate drivers. I can't do all the work.
Just remember where we'd be. Where you'd be if this were all to go belly up.
Just trust me, Dad. You've got nothing to worry about.
Devon, I mean it. If you don't bring your A game, it's back to the bottom of the pile. Do you really want that?
No. No, I don't.
Just keep it in mind. Now go out there and show me what you can do.
Already on it. I'll get you those points, Dad.
Good boy. Speak later.
As the Connor Sports boys are smashing cars around Australia's Albert Park, and smashing in the context of going very, very fast and not crashing into each other. This time, Devon ignores another team order. However, this team order wasn't anything along the lines of let Aiden pass, but it was to chill off on the brakes as they gain a touch on the hot side.
Here comes Butler. Good pace here down the straight. Into the corner we go. That's a little too late, and he nearly goes off the track on the exit. And is that a lapse in concentration?
I think just a little bit of desperate driving there, Crofty. He's pushing way too hard. I mean, there's nobody else around him at this stage.
Okay, Devon, we're going to have to ease off on the brakes. Brakes don't feel right. Okay, we'll have a look at it, but you're going to see a drop-off in performance, I'm afraid. What? Why? We've asked you to take it easy on the last lap, but pushing has made the issue even worse. So we're just going to have to live with it for now. What are you talking about? Listen, just do what you can, please, Devon. Come on.
Devon ignores this message again, and so his brakes do indeed overheat, causing severe damage to the car, affecting the pace. So the brakes overheat, making Devon obviously run right and pick up the aforementioned damage, and then Devon comes on the team radio saying what the hell happened. And then the engineer, of course, informed him that they had told him to take it easy on the brakes, and he didn't. But then Devon claims that he had never got this message after the race, once again telling the team that they have suffered a communications error.
Well, it's a big deal when one of your drivers decides to do their own thing. So I called him out on it at the next team meeting.
And what was Devon's reaction?
Well, he denied the whole thing. You know, blamed it on a comms fate.
You wanted to see me?
There he is. You're a difficult man to pin down. Right, I'll cut right to the chase, Devon. Tell me what's happening.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's not just disregarding team orders. Paddock talks. People are saying you've been distracted, that you're ignoring them completely. Now, my job is to make sure the team works smoothly, like clockwork, so I'm just trying to work out what's going on.
I told you, check the comms.
Yeah, the comms are fine, Devon. We checked. What's going on?
Nothing.
Just cut that out. Show me some respect now.
Okay. I heard the order. All right? You happy?
Why ignore it?
I'm feeling it, Cass. The pressure. Paddock gossip these last couple of months.
Oh, come on. You're Devon Butler. You are the paddock gossip.
You've heard what they're saying, right? You've seen what they're writing. Driving on Daddy's money. It's making me second guess myself.
Okay. We can work through that. Start changing the team narrative.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, I'd like you to see someone from the medical team. Just to be sure. I've booked you in for this afternoon.
No, Cass. Look, I've got a race to prep for, okay? I need my head in the game. I'm fine.
I get that. That's fine. But I want you to see them straight after the race. Understood?
Yeah. Fine.
Which of course there is no proof of, but Davide attempts to force the new team principal, Casper Ackerman, to say that there is a comm issue again. This time around, after that debacle in Australia with the comms issues, we are at Imola and Devon is having a pretty good race because I'm controlling him. As I said at the start of the video, as much of an annoyance that Devon can be, he's a good racer. He is set up to be a good, fast driver. And he was in a good position in the race. And since we're playing him, we start to see his vision go blurry as his hearing also goes dim. This causing him to crash out at the turn 14-15 complex at Imola.
Devon Butler now. Oh, that's not good! Oh no! Devon Butler spins! He's out!
Oh, he just misjudges it and clips the curb. What a mess.
Devon Butler!
After crashing out of the race, Devon beelines it into his cool room being all angry. Grr. I don't know why I did that. That was stupid. But then Casper joins him in the cool room.
Hey.
I'm done, Casper. I'm done.
It's okay. It's okay. It was his hearing. He'd been keeping it from us. I think maybe he'd been trying to keep it from himself. I mean, he was at the height of his career. Yeah, what can you say?
How did you feel?
I was devastated. But, 5 years in F1. Can't argue with that. I mean, most people never even get the chance, so. And I was still one of the best while I was out there. You ask anyone.
And Devon tells Casper just straight up he is done. His hearing is going and he's done with Formula 1. And at this point, I still didn't really like him, but I did feel sorry for him not being able to compete in the sport that he obviously loves due to a unforeseen medical issue. I think it's stated later on that he has a form of tinnitus or something along those lines. So after Imola, Devon goes off for, I assume, his medical attention, and we do not see him for a couple chapters. However, the next chapter after Devon has his Imola crash, chapter 10, just so happens to be my favourite chapter within the whole story, even though my favourite character was obviously Devon, which is why I'm making this video on him, as I feel chapter 10 is the first time we really get to see into the politics of F1, which I know a lot of people don't like, but it is a part of the sport, a vital part of the sport. And I like the fact that the game decides to cover it, much in the way that Drive to Survive has started to show us a bit more of the inter-team politics, however unrealistic it may be. Also, I haven't mentioned it in this video yet, but the game also sort of follows a Drive to Survive style, where they interview drivers of the likes of Aiden, Devon, Casper, Andreo, who's the owner of Connor Sport, Davidoff, and Callie. Talking of Callie, it is in chapter 10 that we also find out that Callie and Devon are brother and sister. Callie obviously taking her mother's name after their parents got divorced. And I would say Devon really seems like a single child, but I guess he was technically raised as a single child, as his dad didn't really seem to care about Callie or her racing career. That is, until Casper would pick Callie to take Devon's vacant seat at Connor Sports. So, a little later in the game, Devon shows up again with his dad, who gets him a job in the team at Connor Sports as some kind of liaison between Butler Global and Connor Sports.
Everything else looks fine. It's just about that rear wing.
I don't want to sacrifice any more downforce.
It's okay, it's your call. Now, let's check the weather again in an hour.
Oi, oi! Did you miss me? Hello, sis.
Hi, bro.
Jackson.
Devon.
How are you, Devon?
I am excited. Very excited to be involved again. Now, you pretend I'm not here, you carry on, please.
Involved? How?
Oh, you know, just a little bit of this, a little bit of...
Involved? How?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Huh. And what does Andreo say to that?
He'll agree, Casper. It's fine.
Were they pleased to see you?
People are always pleased to see me.
And what was your new role?
I guess you might call me a liaison. Yeah, I love to liaise.
And even though Davidoff is basically running the team at this point, and it is interesting watching Devon adapt to not being able to race, but he still obviously wants to be a part of the sport, and he genuinely seems to want to help Connor Sports, even staying at the team in a meeting after Casper kicks his dad out.
Okay, so we are running two quite different setups out there today. And you don't need me to tell you how it... You don't need me to tell you how it... Davidoff, that's enough.
I'm sorry?
Get out.
What on earth are you talking about?
I've had an entire season of you whispering in people's ears. I'm asking you to leave the meeting.
You can't be serious.
This is not your team. And after today, it might not even exist. So get out and let those of us who actually care about the result do our jobs.
We'll talk about this later, Ackerman.
You can threaten me after the race.
So be it. You coming, Devon?
Yeah, I'm thinking I might actually stay. Yeah, I'm gonna stay.
Well, that's up to you.
It's like he really wants the team to succeed, and maybe this is to protect what sort of legacy he has in Formula One, so that the team that he finished his career at would still be in the sport many years to come. But I don't know, maybe he's just become a little bit less self-centered. But the thing I loved the most about Devon's change is that it felt realistic, as he didn't lose his traits. He is still the deceitful person, but now he is using that power of evil to help the team. There is even this part where he seems to apologize to Callie for what happened to her with her father and his father and the way it all ended up, which he does seem very apologetic and legitimate about. But then he goes on to hype Callie up by saying, "You were always faster than me anyways," and then immediately cuts to the Drive to Survive style interview where he says that's a lie, he's always the fastest.
Come on, I just want to check out.
Why? Because he told you to?
Stop making this about him. Just talk to me. Look, it's my job to talk to the drivers, Callie.
Yeah. And who gave you that job?
Why are you being like this? It's not even me you're angry with.
Maybe it is.
Oh, really? This again? We were kids, Callie.
You left me behind.
Come on, what was I supposed to say? Oh, thanks, Dad, for continuing to invest in my career, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to decline, just in case I hurt poor Callie's feelings.
Of course not.
And what?
It didn't have to be a choice, Dev. He had the money to fund both of our careers. I wanted you to fight for me. He never listened to me. He always listened to you.
Well, we were young.
Yeah. But we're adults now.
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation, I'm not much competition anymore.
You never were.
I'm sorry, Callie. For everything. You were always faster than me. There, I said it.
Nice try.
I mean it.
And did you mean it?
Of course not. Faster than me. No. She was never faster than me. She'd love that. No. But if there's one thing my old man taught me, it's that sometimes people need to hear what they need to hear. You know?
It also seems that Devon helps build a bridge between Callie and Aiden, who don't get along at all at the start, helping them to become better teammates. And also at the last race, he uses his dicky nature for good, as he comes over the team radio telling Callie to slow down and take care of the car, as Aiden had just lost his engine due to mechanical issues.
2023 is over for Aiden Jackson. It's a dramatic exit, and it wasn't what he was hoping for.
Something happened up there?
Yeah, engine failure, I'm afraid. Aiden is out of this race. Repeat, Aiden's out of the race. Did you get that?
Aiden's out. I heard.
What? Let me speak to him.
Why?
Just give me the headset.
Sure about this?
I'm sure about everything.
That's what concerns me.
Kelly.
Devon?
Yeah, we've had a chat. We think it's best if you don't push the car too hard.
What? Why?
Look, you're way back, Cal, okay? We don't want to blow your engine too, so just cruise it in and finish the race.
It's got to be realistic here. Copy.
Sorry, is this a team order?
No, Casper agrees. It's just not going to make up that much ground. It can't be done. Just cruise it in, Cal. Trust me, you watch her go.
Which then of course he knew would amp Callie up. Then Callie of course goes on to tear up and ends up on the podium. So after Breaking Point 2, I like Devon a lot more. He knows what he's like and he uses that to push the other people around him. And also I did start to dislike Aiden a lot more. He seems to act nice but hide his true nature, where Devon is obviously very, I think bashful is the right word, very bashful in who he is. He's very proud of himself and he knows that he's a dick, but he's like okay with it. Also Aiden has had 3 teammates in Formula 1 and he has crashed into all 3 of those teammates in Formula 1, which is not a good statistic to have. Also, I love Casper so much as he's based on the real life world champion of Kimi Räikkönen, and who doesn't love the ice cream eating Iceman himself? Anyways, I can't wait for Breaking Point 3 and to see how they continue Devon's story, if they do, or if there even is a Breaking Point 3. Who knows? I don't.